Julio Lopez and Kelsey Organ are here with real-world examples and practical tips and tactics to help you stay ahead of the curve without needing a crystal ball or a panic button. So join me in welcoming the bold and the beautiful Kelsey and Julio.
Loyalty, loyalty, loyalty.
Hey everyone, thank you for joining us at this session. My name is Julio Lopez, and I'm Movable Strategy Vice President overseeing the retail vertical.
And I'm Kelsey Organ, Associate Director of Retail Strategy, and we are so excited to be here today to talk about how personalization drives performance in today's challenging retail landscape.
So, as some of you know, our team is composed of former brand-side marketers who have led email programs at some of the world's largest brands, including Neiman Marcus, Dick's Sporting Goods, Sephora, just to name drop a few. And in fact, Kelsey joined us from Amazon Whole Foods after spending some time at the iconic Abercrombie & Fitch.
That's right. And having been in the trenches, we really understand the complexities that marketers are dealing with and kind of finding that balance between MarTech and brand perspectives. In addition, we work very closely with many of the brands here at Think Summit, so today we'll share our collective insights on how to navigate the current landscape effectively.
So the fact is retailers are facing an extremely challenging landscape, and really it's a combination of challenges that we've been experiencing over the last few years, as well as net new additions that we have to grapple with. As these headlines show, conveying value, driving engagement, and leaning into loyalty and personalization continue to be key themes. But it's become more challenging for us to achieve our goals as the channels that we operate in, mostly email and mobile, seem to be overwhelming a lot of our customers, resulting in declining engagement. Even our loyalty programs are facing increased scrutiny as consumer expectations evolve.
So now halfway through 2025, it's very clear that we've battled big challenges, and it has not gotten easier. Of course, the biggest headline is the worry around tariffs, which is impacting retailers' ability to forecast, to comp, and most importantly, to plan for Q4 as consumer behaviors are shifting amid economic uncertainty. And then we had more unexpected news from our friends at Apple with the iOS 18 updates. And then at the forefront of all of this are the ways in which we engage with, adopt, and scale AI initiatives and kind of separate that hype from the reality. And so it's clear that these changes have a direct impact on our marketing strategies. So the big question today is, how do we adapt to stay ahead?
And that's really the million-dollar question that we're all here to answer. And from our point of view, the way forward isn't more complexity, it's more clarity. This isn't our first rodeo, it just looks a little different. Each brand here has a toolkit of personalization strategies, and what we want you to walk away with are ways to repackage and intelligently leverage the tools already at your disposal. So among the tools that we're gonna cover today are these four that you see in this slide here. The first of which is channel-oriented personalization, or put differently, how do we leverage each channel in the optimal way? Data collection and activation, as these are going to be the core pillars of any personalization strategy. Leaning into loyalty, but doing so in a way that is valuable and engaging. And then finally, agility planning, which may not off the bat feel like a personalization strategy, but it is what's going to prevent you from having to send one-size-fits-all messages.
Yeah, so let's jump in. When it comes to optimizing personalization across channels, it's not just about being present on multiple channels. It's really about finding the right message that fits with the right channel and finding that unique power of each channel. So let's consider this. 73% of consumers prefer shopping through multiple channels, indicating that desire for flexibility and convenience during their purchasing journey. And consumers shopping across multiple channels have a 30% higher lifetime value, with 2.4 times higher likelihood when it comes to convert when it comes to receiving both an SMS and an email. So it's not at all a surprise that they expect companies to meet them with deals, incentives, and messages where it's most convenient to them.
And absolutely agree, and we do see the clients that we work with already doing this. So one fantastic example comes to us from Rothy's. This use case I really like also because it exemplifies the core power of SMS. It's the immediacy of SMS that makes it a perfect vehicle for time-sensitive messaging, and nothing conveys that quite like this. Rothy's leveraged Movable Studio to add a countdown timer to their SMS messages, increasing excitement and urgency on the limited time offers that they were delivering to their customers. As you can expect, this resulted in a significant lift in engagement. Now, many of you have tried this strategy in your emails, and so this is just a newer way to elevate that strategy across different channels.
And speaking of elevating strategies, I can hope and assume that most people in here have a cart abandon email. So HSN built on that, and they drove engagement and conversions by launching a dynamic cart abandon rich push. And this updates for each individual. So what I like about this strategy is it exemplifies this kind of natural intersection between the immediacy of SMS and then the way that we've historically looked at emails and triggers. And while not shown here, there are even more ways to add details to these messages. So we have live inventory, price, and social proofing, which adds even more urgency. And because these are all based on one-to-one consumer behavior, these 300,000 sends in this test were all personalized to each individual. But of course, all roads lead back to email. This is, of course, Think Summit. So the core strength of email is it's excellent for detailed content and storytelling, while providing a great canvas for multiple personalized zones that have discovery as well as reinforcement. So Asda did just this. As part of their loyalty program strategy, they had mobile messages that were focused on one specific action. So this could be, progress bars for rewards missions. But then in email, Asda took advantage of the channel's flexibility and included multiple personalized zones, such as product recommendations. And this showcases how all of these channels can be very complementary to each other, and the results truly speak for themselves with an 18% lift in click-through rate, which was absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely is. I think we'd all like to see those kind of results. So to sum up this section or these ideas, it's clear that effective channel-oriented personalization is going to require marketers to understand the unique strengths of each channel, deliver tailored content that aligns with the customer expectations of each channel, and also integrate data across channels to ensure that customers have a seamless experience. By focusing on these strategies, retailers can enhance customer engagement, increase loyalty, and drive higher conversions. But really, no brand can deliver personalized experiences without data. It's going to be the backbone of any successful strategy, and it's also business critical. 45% of consumers tell us that they would take their business elsewhere if a brand fails to deliver that personalized experience they're looking for. And yet, 75% of businesses have trouble doing this due to data silos or outdated infrastructures. But very often we find with the clients that we work with, the data already exists. It just needs to be activated. Data like past purchase behavior or recent on-site browse behavior, which by the way, 78% of consumers want to be used, is generally on hand.
So let's take Macy's as a great example. Based on purchase and browse behaviors, they're able to place customers into niche segments. So for example, instead of sending one large home campaign, they can activate this niche segment data to dynamically pull in content for subsets of home. So in these visuals, you can see that they're able to target more granularly into bedding and kitchen. And just as important, this is all automated, so they can create all of these different versions with no extra creative work while sending one single email deployment. And of course, great results here with a 34% lift in conversion rate.
And what I like about that example from Macy's is that they're using what's already in their toolkit. Another data point that we all have is going to be prices. And just this one data point can serve to elevate the customer experience. Claire's, like many of the brands here, includes a product recommendations grid in their emails, and they're able to also showcase real-time pricing in an automated way. Doing this, it's not only an efficiency win for the brand, but the customer now also has a unified experience from the email to the website, thereby reducing friction. And as expected, this drove really great performance with a 43% lift in conversion rate.
And when it comes to data activation, the basics really just work. And this is simply activating real-time website behaviors. So Tiffany's uses real-time behavioral data to showcase evergreen abandoned cart and abandoned browse banners for any users that have taken recent action on their website. So this allows for any batch messages to include one-to-one personalization and really creates this connective tissue between batch and trigger emails. And they saw a 28% lift in revenue, which frankly is not uncommon for these types of strategies.
So bringing it back to that toolkit analogy, data is something that you do already have. It's simply a matter of activating it in the right way. And to be clear, it doesn't have to be every single data point, just as long as what you activate is high quality and it's made relevant to each customer. And as Kelsey said, if you simply lean into those tried and true strategies like activating real-time behavioral data, you can't go wrong. And again, by focusing on these strategies, retailers can enhance engagement, drive higher conversions, and most importantly, increase loyalty.
Yeah, so let's pivot into that loyalty strategy. There is a real need for brands to rethink how they approach their programs. It's not about points, but rather how the program mechanics complement the overall personalization strategy to deliver these meaningful interactions. The programs themselves are still very important. There was a 28% increase in program usage just last year. However, it's clear the programs are not enough, with 74% of shoppers switching brands last year. And all these consumers are looking for is personalization within their programs. And this actually ranked slightly higher than discounts, which is surprising. But the two do go hand in hand. Personalization and discounts can and should be used together for optimal impact and effectiveness. For example, Faraday celebrates member birthdays by highlighting their loyalty tier, and then they pull in personalized promo codes based on program participation. And then they also pull in name personalization, which frankly is now just table stakes. However, as a whole, what they achieve is this message that clearly delivers value to the consumer's inbox, both financially and emotionally, as a result of this recognition. And this resonated very well, evidenced by the 21% lift in conversion rate.
And as we said earlier, the mechanism by which we deliver this loyalty messaging is also going to have a significant impact on engagement. So Lenovo amplified their surprise and delight loyalty offer with a scratch to reveal experience. So in what would otherwise be a static sort of editorial asset, Lenovo instead chose to bring in gamification to drive the engagement that they were looking for. Additionally, they were able to create differentiated experiences for their Lenovo Pro versus My Lenovo Rewards member within the same send. Again, we see really strong performance here, and in this case, they saw a 15% click-through rate, which was much higher than the averages. But I think most importantly, brands must remind customers of the value that they bring to them. And from the perspective of a loyalty program, that's going to come down to things like loyalty banners and loyalty statements. So Bath & Body Works highlights program value in a monthly statement. Each section of this email is fully dynamic, which is an efficiency win for the brand. But most importantly, it's a highly intentional touch point that is made relevant to the customer, and it underscores the value of active program participation. This touch point alone has seen $4.4 million of incremental revenue, but it has also, more importantly, driven an almost 8% lift in first-time reward redemptions, thereby reducing breakage.
I have to do a shameless plug. Ashley Flowers and I did a great presentation, a webinar last month on Bath & Body Works loyalty program, so it's on demand if anyone wants to learn more. Once again, bringing it back to the toolkit analogy, as brands lean into loyalty, they have to ensure that they do these three things. So deliver value, but do so in a personalized context, provide differentiated experiences, allowing you to stand out in the inbox, and then don't forget to remind members of the value of active program participation. Customers are really seeking more personalized and meaningful interactions with brands, and they want to feel valued and understood in addition to being rewarded for their purchases. So for our final section, we're going to pivot a little bit into agility planning. I think if there's one thing that we've learned over the last few years, it's that predictability is a luxury. From global supply chain disruptions to unexpected iOS changes, and now tariff uncertainty, we really need strategies that are built to flex. So agility is not just about reacting fast. It's about planning for change before it happens, and then the moment something, before it happens. And the email production process, as we know, is already taking, this lion's share of time on teams. And the moment something needs to be changed, it creates chaos. And business leaders are feeling unprepared for this disruption, and a lot of money is being left on the table as a result of this low operational resilience. So let's walk through ways that brands can stay responsive as well as personalized, no matter what comes next, especially as it relates to tariffs.
So I know there's a lot of retailers in the room, so when it comes to tariffs, I think one topic that is top of mind for all of us is going to be price and inventory. As these fluctuate, brands cannot afford to send messages that are going to be outdated the moment that they hit the customer's inbox. Otherwise, we're just adding friction to the path to purchase. So instead, brands must aim to show what's actually available, even if supply chain is a moving target. We need to be able to provide clarity as to what's actually available. Wayfair does just that. They provide clarity by adding simple yet eye-catching badging to their product recommendations. These badges highlight pricing, inventory, convenience, and confidence messages, and all of these work together in concert to drive the customer to conversion. And they were very successful with this goal. they saw a 133% lift in revenue. And shout out to the Wayfair team who presented this and other strategic use cases like an hour ago.
The other big impact of tariffs is the increased costs that are being passed down to consumers, which is just creating further price sensitivity. So as prices increase and preferred products are no longer available, we need the message to work harder. And that means showcasing why the product shown is still worth buying. So Ulta does a fantastic job of this, conveying value in a few different ways. So first, they remind the customer that they get free shipping with their loyalty tier. Then they highlight the most recent offer. So in this case is the 5 times points on NARS. Then they do the math for the customer based on current price. And then lastly, they convey value through product ratings and reviews. And so what this does is it all comes together to create a very compelling email as to why the product is still worth buying.
So the best approach we think that you can take to prepare for the uncertainty that is definitely coming, if anything we're certain of that, is taking or leaning into the modular approach to email design. So with this approach, you're able to more quickly build emails by combining those relevant, data-powered dynamic blocks that are going to adjust in real time. This ability to move quickly is, in and of itself, a competitive advantage, so we cannot forget that. Additionally, if the modules are connected to API data sources, then it ensures that the content is always up to date without requiring manual intervention. So Claire has realized the value of modularity very early on, and as you can see here, on average, 75% of their email templates are Movable Ink dynamic modules.
So as we think about the 3 points that we just reviewed, so price and inventory volatility, price sensitivity, and modularity, there is one common theme that we see between these 3. The more modules that can be powered by existing APIs, the more flexibility that you will have to bob and weave and ideally get ahead of some of these turbulent times. So our advice is that you focus on connecting to as many APIs as possible right now in order to give yourself the flexibility to maneuver the ongoing volatility. Which takes us into our very first key action item for all of you. For APIs, meet with your tech team to review the options that you have to connect to as much live data as possible. But as we said, a lot of this data is already at your fingertips, so take inventory of what you have, which might have little to no dev work, and then ideate the ways to use it.
You should also audit your current personalization modules and identify ways to improve your templates to allow for more flexibility so you can react more quickly to those last-minute changes. And then finally, when in doubt, you have a dedicated client experience team at Movable Ink in addition to our strategy team, so you can lean on us for guidance and support.
Yes, so we know that was a lot for 20 minutes. But here's what we hope you have taken from this session. These personalized strategies are already in your toolbox. And if you're waiting for the right conditions to deploy them, you're unfortunately already behind.
So the reason that Kelsey and I chose the title Unprecedented Times, Precedented Solutions for this session is because personalization isn't about perfection. It's about taking action and using the tools already at your disposal. It's simply strategy executed well. At the end of the day, your competitors are seeing the same headlines that you're seeing. It's what you do with them that matters. So that brings us to time. If you found any of the ideas or strategies shared today particularly interesting or thought-provoking, let's connect. You can reach our team via retailstrategy@movableink.com. We know that the year ahead will bring about net new challenges and underscore existing ones, so let's figure them out together. With that, we want to say thank you for listening to this presentation and enjoy the rest of Think Summit.